It is Wednesday, the 28th. I want to welcome everybody to today's committee hearing. I'm pleased to be joined by my dear friend, a man I served with in Sacramento and serving with here today, Councilman Richard Alarcon. Again, it is Wednesday, October 28th, so those of you that have not decided what you're going to wear for Halloween, you only have a few more days, so I recommend that you figure out what the heck you're going to do. Anyway, we do not have a quorum as of yet, Mr. City Attorney, but we are going to move ahead. So we will take up items that generally would be on the consent calendar. We'll do it as a communique from the chair, and when we do get a quorum, we'll take action and move those as a committee vote instead of communique from the chair. Let's see, do we have any public comment cards? No public comment cards. What we got? Okay. With that said, Ms. Barclay, if you could read item 1.
Meg Barclay with the CLA. Item 1 is a report from the CRA and the CAO relative to executing a contract with the Episcopal Housing Alliance for services related to the dissemination of redevelopment information in the Westlake Recovery Redevelopment Project area.
Okay, on item 1, we will adopt the CAO report. Item 2, please.
Item 2 are reports from the CRA and the CAO and a resolution relative to transferring AB 1290 funds to the General Services Department to construct public access and landscaping improvements at the Benjamin Franklin Public Library.
Okay, now on item 2, we'll adopt the CAO report. If you could read item 3.
Item 3, reports from the CRA and the CLA relative to awarding contracts for various environmental planning services for various projects up to a total amount of $8 million.
Okay, now I'm going to continue item 3, but for those that are here on item 3, I will request that you meet with my office prior to the next time we agendize this item. I just went through the list of the consulting firms, and I think there are 15 firms. And it amazes me that out of 15 firms, we were only able to find 2 minorities. So I want to figure that out. I mean, I'm not asking for preferential treatment or anything like that, but I am requesting that the departments be sensitive to the concerns of this committee. So item 3 will be continued. Item 4.
Item 4 is a report from the CRA and the CLA and a resolution relative to a pre-development and permanent loan with Vermont 4925 LP for development of affordable housing targeting kinship care families in the Council District 9 corridors south of the Santa Monica Freeway Recovery Redevelopment Project area. Okay,
item 4 will adopt the CLA report. Item 5, we will continue that item. That brings us to item 6.
Item 6 is a report from CDD and the CAO relative to implementing additional grant allocations in the Workforce Investment Act and National Emergency Grant funding for the subprime mortgage and banking retraining project.
Okay, on item 6, we will adopt the CAO report. You can read item 7, and I have 2 cards on item 7.
Item 7 is a motion.
Well, hold on a second, Mr. Alarcon.
Item 6. I'm just curious about this program was designed for people who are in the subprime lending industry to find alternative work, and I'm just curious about all the problems that were caused by folks in that industry, and then we're giving them government dollars to resolve their problems. So I sort of
why don't we do this, Mr. Alarcon? Why don't we? I'll hold that.
Okay, you want to move?
Complete this, and then we'll come back.
Please.
And
I just have a few questions.
No, that's
CDD on that.
More than fair. So on item 6, we'll hold that, and we will get to that after we run through the other items on the agenda. So now, again, that brings us to item 7.
Item 7?
Read that item.
Item 7 is a motion, Huizar Koretz, relative to requiring city departments that provide food programs or services to donate surplus food to local food banks, pantries, or other service agencies that accept food donations, and request the CRA to report on how it might work with private businesses to participate in such programs.
Okay, so we have 2 cards from the public on that item. So Alan, I'm going to warn you in advance. When we finish with this, I'm going to ask for your recommendation as to how we proceed with this item. This will be a test, okay, and it will not be graded on a curve. Okay, we have Frank Tamburello and Linda V. Please come forward. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, council members. I'm Frank Tamburello with Hunger Action LA, and as a coalition of groups including Homeless Healthcare, group of youth called Youth Inc., Community Health Councils, SOVA, Chicana Service Action Centers, and others, we came up with the idea for this ordinance, and we want to congratulate City Council members Huizar and Koretz and all of you for taking this up. It's a very important first step, especially helping families out during the recession. We need to get more food into the emergency food pipeline. Because the food stamp program is actually the main line of defense against hunger, this is one of the few areas in which the city can actively take a part in ending hunger. And so we really urge you to pass this ordinance. There are millions of tons of food wasted, and we hope that this captures a fraction of that, and especially any healthy food that can be captured to go to our emergency food system. You may also know that San Francisco has a composting ordinance, and I think we're doing them one better with this one because we're looking out for taking food that's perfectly edible and recycling it for folks who need food at this time. So we just want you to support this ordinance, and we congratulate you once again for taking it up.
Okay, thank you, Frank. And Frank, what you need to do now is stare at the distinguished-looking gentleman to the left of Council Member Alarcon, because the fate of this issue depends.
He's a really nice guy. He returned my phone call, and I practiced staring at him a little bit.
On him. Linda?
Hi, good morning, council members.
See, and Linda's looking at him.
I've been looking at him.
Good morning.
Good morning. The Los Angeles Community Action Network would like to express our support for the proposed food waste ordinance that is being considered today. In this time of economic downturn, it is even more important for local policymakers to create mechanisms to help low-income Angelenos meet basic human needs. The proposed ordinance could assist thousands of low-income residents in accessing free and high-quality food. In 2005, LA CAN conducted a community food assessment which analyzed food insecurity, access to nutritious and high-quality food, and interest in improving nutritional food intake in the Skid Row community. We found that 8 out of every 10 people suffered from food insecurity and that people often missed meals, although the common perception is that food is abundantly available and easily accessed. Hunger, food insecurity, and access to high-quality and nutritious foods are some of the most urgent and widespread issues for low-income residents in our community and throughout Los Angeles. We would also like to stress the importance of including redevelopment projects in this proposed ordinance. This could expand the impact of this ordinance substantially. When resources are provided by the redevelopment agency, participation in a food waste program is a reasonable requirement as a condition of the funding. When combined with other community benefits, we can maximize the impacts of public investment. We look forward to working with you as this ordinance is drafted.
Thank you. Now, did you just put down here Linda V because you figured I couldn't pronounce the last name, or were you just hurried?
No, I think.
Or is that it?
I think my coworker doesn't know how to spell my last name.
What, can I, for the record?
But it's Valverde.
One more time?
Linda Valverde.
I might have been able to, with some
Let's
practice,
try it.
get that. Next time you come. Wait, now what did you say? I've been challenged. Valverde?
Valverde.
Valverde. I'll get it.
It's in Spanish.
Okay, now
Thanks.
we've got Eric from CD 14.
Eric Sanjurjo, Councilmember Huizar's office. Thank you again for scheduling the item. Just wanted to relay that we had a very positive meeting with ITA, and that they have committed to taking the list of all the nonprofits and food food pantry organizations and put it on the 311 website and give it to their operators. We're also going to work with the county, because the 211 already provides some of this information, to take from them all of the locations within the city of Los Angeles and also the ones adjacent to the city of Los Angeles, such as the Los Angeles Food Bank, which is in the county, but it's just outside of City 14, to make sure that if residents call and they want to donate food, they know where to take it, and also the organizations that want to give food from their catering events or whatnot, that they know where to take it. And then we're going to work with the city departments. We know that the Convention Center and a few others already have policies. We're researching to see what other departments have policies and make sure that they all have similar best practices in place.
Thank you for coming. I think this is an excellent program, but it's out of my hands. So, Alan, what do you recommend? The Councilmember Alarcon and I are, waiting on your recommendation here.
Sir, knowing that it's, in your opinion, an excellent program, I would move approval of the...
That's why I really like him. I just really... Mr. Alarcon, we have the greatest staff on this committee for the sharpest tax. Okay, so on that item, we will adopt the motion, bringing us to item 8.
Item 8 is the motion Perry Parks relative to economic development incentive programs that involve city tax revenues.
Okay, on item 8, we will adopt that motion. And that brings us to item 9.
Item 9 is a motion Perry Parks relative to the use of AB 1290 and CDBG funds for the Slauson Central Shopping Center, Washington Boulevard Retail Project, and property acquisition for development of a park at Slauson Avenue and Wall Street.
Okay, then on item 9, we'll adopt that motion as well. And I would hope that item 10 is not another Perry Parks motion, because I have a maximum of 2 motions per committee.
Okay, I think we're okay then, because this one is a motion Garcetti-Wesson
Okay.
relative to preparation of an ordinance amending the municipal code to extend the sunset date of the foreclosure eviction ordinance from December 23rd, 2009 to December 31st, 2010.
Okay, then on item 10, we'll adopt... Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks, Andrew. I should have known. I have one card from the public, and I'd like to call forward a man that I've never seen before in my life, Mr. Larry Gross. Good morning, Larry.
Morning, trick or treat.
Yeah.
Larry Gross, Coalition for Economic Survival. I want to thank Councilmember Garcetti and yourself for bringing this important motion forward. The foreclosure crisis and its impact on hardworking Americans is a national disgrace. It's especially taxing on the forgotten victims, that being tenants. Tenants have done nothing wrong, they pay their rent on time, yet they find themselves a victim of circumstances they didn't create or have control over. This ordinance, adopted last December, was in response to banks evicting tenants due to the misfortune of these tenants living in foreclosed properties. The ordinance is working. It's provide tenants a little bit of hope and justice, and while it hasn't stopped banks from still attempting to evict tenants, it clearly has provided them the ability to prevent the unjust evictions. We just have to make sure that tenants know their rights. And since the foreclosure crisis still exists, we strongly urge that you approve the extension of the foreclosure eviction ordinance for another year. Thank you.
No, thank you, Larry, and it is, very important that we try to move forward and do everything we can where it relates to that issue. And I can't think of anything that is more troubling or upsetting than you've got a hardworking family that every third of the month they pay their rent without, never late, and then all of a sudden, it is a terrible thing. So, on this item, I would recommend that we adopt the motion.
Yes, sir.
With that said, the items that let's go to item 11. Yes, Mr. Alarcon.
The motion says 1 year, but most forecasters are predicting the foreclosure crisis will continue for at least 2 years. So why don't we just extend it for 2 years?
I think we can do a year. We'll roll it over again. I don't think we'll have any opposition. You know what? Let's do this. I will have a discussion today with Mr. Garcetti when we get to council, and then we can make the necessary amendment, even if we have to do it on the floor.
Yeah, the predictions are that there will be 4 million more foreclosures next year in the country, and then an additional 2 million thereafter, just based on the current crisis. So,
And the thing that's so unfortunate about the projections, generally, it's worse than projected.
these forecasters have been fairly accurate.
Well, let's pray that their numbers are a little below, not above.
Yeah. Thank you.
I haven't seen anything positive that has come out of this crisis. So anyway, with that said, we will adopt this.
I'm sorry, my staff member Ackley was saying, well, why wouldn't we want to make this permanent?
Well, what I'd like to do is give the maker of the motion the courtesy and mention it to him, and he might feel if the support was there that he'd want to do that.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want to do that without having a discussion with him. I would hate to have somebody tinker with something with that I had been involved with without the benefit of a conversation.
I understand the sentiment.
Yeah. So we will discuss that.
But yes, please ask him why
I'll
we
ask him
wouldn't
today.
want to do it permanently, because no matter when you get foreclosed upon, if you're living in an apartment and that building gets foreclosed upon, it's through no fault of your own.
No, and I agree. And if it was my motion, I would take that as a friendly amendment. So, and I anticipate that he will do the same. Okay, so on item 10, we will adopt the motion. We've been joined by Council Member Cardenas so that we have a quorum. So instead of our actions being communiques from the chair, they will be recommendations for the full committee. Item 11. Mr. City Attorney, you have this look.
No, I believe there were some questions that Councilmember Alarcon had on item number 6.
No, I haven't brought it back yet. Mr. Allen, we may have to do his job evaluation a little sooner than we anticipated, because he's not feeling it yet, Ms. Barclay. So if you could read item 11.
Yes, sir. Item 11 is a report from the city attorney and an ordinance relative to amending the Los Angeles Municipal Code to protect the identities of witnesses to specified illegal activities when those activities are the grounds for termination of a tenancy.
Okay, on that item, I have a card from Mr. Steve Diaz. Okay, thank you, Mr. Diaz. Without objection, we'll adopt the city attorney's report on that ordinance. And again, speaking of city attorney, do you have your braces on today?
Yes, sir.
What color are they? Okay, well, that will save you, and you can continue to serve on this committee as city attorney. Now, Mr. Alarcon mentioned some concerns where it relates to item 6. If we could again read item 6, and we'll bring up the department people, Mr. Alarcon, and we'll deal with this issue.
Item 6 is a report from the Community Development Department and the CAO relative to implementing additional grant allocations in Workforce Investment Act and National Emergency Grant funding for the subprime mortgage and banking retraining project.
Good morning.
Good morning. Jaime Pacheco with the Community Development Department.
Okay, now, Mr. Alarcon has some concerns, so at this point, I'll let him lead the line of questioning.
Yeah, I actually don't have, I wouldn't call them concerns, it's just informational questions, because this program was designed for those people who are in an industry that ripped off a bunch of people throughout Southern California, and I'm just curious if we're doing, were there any provisions to exclude people that might have been part of the rip-off process? How do we select the candidates for this program?
So my apologies, first of all, for the confusion around who's targeted in this particular grant.
Okay.
We received 2 grants from the state of California. One was a 15% governor's discretionary award that focused on 4 different sectors, one of which was the financial services sector. And then we subsequently received the National Emergency Grant that also focused on the financial industry sector. we coupled the two together, and we called it the subprime banking, mortgage and banking, a year and a half ago. Once we identify that as the project, it's difficult to go back and start changing project names and tracking. So it's identified as a subprime banking, mortgage and banking focus, but it really focuses on the financial services sector. As you know, that our workforce development system, it really is a system of last resort for folks who come looking for a job. Most folks have an employment network. If I lose a job, I'll pick up the phone, I'll call folks, try to find a job. But folks who come to our system generally are those folks who have exhausted all other employment options for them. So it really focuses on those folks who otherwise would not have an opportunity to find employment on their own. The financial services sector has impacted folks from the call centers all the way up into mortgage lenders and brokers and what have you. Also folks in securities industry, securities commission side of it. So we don't actually have a provision that prevents someone who was a mortgage broker from coming into the workforce center looking for a job. We're required to provide services to anybody who comes in looking for assistance. In the program design, there isn't an exclusion to folks who were part of the mortgage industry.
Okay, but that's a regulation of the WIA grant.
Yes, we're required to.
We don't control that.
No, but the only limitations we have in the adult and dislocated worker program are folks who have a right to work, who are over 18 years of age, and who are looking for employment.
And the original goal was set at 160 participants, and we served 168 with $367,000. Is that correct?
No, again, and then there were two grants that were coupled together.
Okay.
There was a 15% governor's discretionary award, and then there was the NEG. Both of them had different timetables. The 15% governor's discretionary award has expired. We've got an.
How much was that?
The 15% governor's discretionary award was $376,752, which was exclusively for participant-related cost. We had a total of $771,000 focused on contracts out to the agencies.
Okay, so $700,000 for 168 people?
Yes, sir.
Isn't that a high per person allocation?
Our average cost on serving folks to our door is about $5,000, $5,000 to $6,000 per person coming through our door.
So this would be a 50% increase over that?
We have as high as $10,000 depending on the
Am I getting my
population.
math wrong? Maybe I'm getting my math wrong.
Well, but just the average is about 55.
And what is it? What is it we're doing for these people?
So typically, it's retraining folks, putting folks into training programs to take the skill sets that they have. And
Okay, I used to be a CETA guy.
As was I.
It's basically like a CETA program.
Yeah, it's a retraining. It's an
Okay.
education piece, and then
And,
job placement.
there's
You were a CETA?
I was a CETA participant.
So, wait,
Participant.
worker, CETA worker.
Yeah, I worked.
So was I.
Yeah. We must have been unemployed together.
With the county of Los Angeles, really.
Changed the name of the program twice by the time I got into it.
Yeah.
So you, I'm sorry, but I never knew that.
But yeah, no, I graduated from that to being a coordinator of a CETA program. So my final question is relative to the 4 agencies that are serving the program. It's
Yes,
4,
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Are they all performing at about the same level, or?
We have one agency which services the central coordinating team, which receives a little bit more money, but they all will serve clients throughout the city. These are located in various parts of the city.
Right.
It is not limited to those 4 agencies.
So are they all performing at about the same level in terms of numbers?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And by the way, one of the reasons I asked is because in the Jobs Committee, we have dual oversight for these kinds of programs, and I don't want to go into it anymore if we can cover it here.
Okay.
So that's fine. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. So we won't have to refer it to my committee.
Okay, and there are no more questions or concerns. So on item 6, we will adopt the CAO report. Ms. Barclay, is there any further business before this committee?
No, sir.
We're done. then this committee, as soon as you walked in, I did that.
Council-
So this committee's
Councilman-
adjourned.
oh, I think-
Wait. Did he-
I think the clerk didn't hear you perhaps clearly say that on the items that had been considered
You
before.
didn't, Alan, you didn't hear me on the items that we did earlier. I said will not be a communique from the chair, that there will be a recommendation from the full committee.
Well, I heard you reference it. I didn't know if Mr. Cardinal acknowledged that as well.
Well,
He would be at-
he just now
Yeah.
acknowledged it, so let it be written, so let it be done. We're adjourned.
Very good.
As long as Alan's happy, then.
What am I going to do with 50 minutes?
Alan.